All right, well, we're back for the discussion of Terminator Genisys, and if you watched our review, we were like, we weren't particularly sure what to say about it. I think for the most part, it was a fine movie. You kind of have to know the other Terminator movies to understand it. The characterizations were good. The story just sort of didn't help the characters out very well. It sort of left them hanging on a lot of things and left them doing things that were sort of questionable or frustrating. So as far as spoilers go, the big one, Entertainment Weekly flat out said that John Connor is the villain in this movie. So I knew that before I went into the theater.
Yep.
Which is annoying, because that would have been an interesting and fun twist, but that's just the nature of things now, is that we know things ahead of time. I thought Jason Clarke handled it perfectly. He was great as the villain. He was great as the non-villain version of John Connor, sort of the extension of Terminator Salvation at the beginning of the movie. They did some interesting things with, recreating some of the scenes that we know from before.
That was cool, though, the revisiting of certain scenes, and they're done with better special effects and stuff.
Yeah,
like that was kind of cool. But it leaned too heavily on the originals, though. That wasn't good for this movie, but it was kind of cool to see a reimagining of,
Yeah, like the originals, those scenes are funny on their own. They have like a funny, like him showing up naked and asking for people's clothes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That's funny in both the first and second Terminator.
Yeah.
And in this, it was like, part of it was, well, it's expected that this is going to happen. But it was also just like, it wasn't really such a funny, they didn't have like a new fun take on it. It was more like, oh, it just happened in a different place, and there were a couple of different people that were there to talk about it.
Yeah.
One of the big things that kind of bogs down with this, because Cal, you were asking questions about it before, was, and Matthew, you were talking about it as well, was the whole concept of this being an alternate timeline. And so when he goes back to 1984, about 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in, the whole universe resets. And so the timeline that we know isn't the same. Like, Judgment Day doesn't happen in 1997, now it happens in 2017. Mm-hmm. And he gets that information as this weird memory that he has during the time travel.
Yeah, bizarre.
Which, it takes him forever to come around and tell you that, and it's not at all obvious during the time that they're showing it, the time that it's happening. Alternate timelines are rough enough to understand.
Yeah.
And I don't know that this movie did a particularly good job of explaining it.
Not at all.
Well, here's something that
the paradox thing is...
Here's something that killed me about it was they mention once he gets back when they're explaining, well, they already sent something to try to kill me back in the 70s, and somebody sent back Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800 to save her.
That was 1984 beta. That happened in.
Well, she mentions when she was 9 in the 70s.
Right. It's 1984 beta.
Yeah.
And that was 1970s beta.
So...
They jumped timelines.
Yeah, they mention whoever sent him back erased the records of who sent him back.
Right. That was all of that's the beta timeline.
Yeah, they never try to explain who sent him back.
Who sent who back?
Yeah.
Who sent who back?
Arnold Schwarzenegger that came and saved her as a child.
Oh, yeah, that's yet to be explained.
Yeah, I figured
it was not explained, no.
Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out, I must have missed that.
No, I think what they were doing at the time in the movie, in the story, that was before we knew that John Connor was a villain. And I think what it was trying to imply was that the audience is supposed to think it's John Connor that sends him back. Because in all the previous movies, that's what happens. But because John Connor is now the villain, he's not the one that sends him back. So who is the one that sends him back?
Maybe it was Kyle Reese.
And maybe it's Kyle Reese, and maybe they end up having another kid that's not John Connor.
No. And
It's Sean Connor.
Also, I'd like to pose a question to the car.
yeah.
What was the point of J.K. Simmons' character?
That's an interesting question. Because I was like, when he showed up and was like following them around and like really excited that he wasn't a crazy person and that he'd actually seen them before, I was like, okay,
He's gonna be good.
they got J.K. Simmons. He's gonna like help them out or do something, and he was just sort of like,
Just there.
yeah, I cracked a joke. Well, my paycheck's in.
He was the crackpot in the background. I told you.
Yeah, okay, but let's
No. He was not the crackpot in the background.
To me, he was the closest thing to the psychologist from the first two movies.
He was the cop that they saved in the beginning.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I understood that. I'm just saying that's the character that he was playing was. I told y'all it was real.
Yeah, when he first appeared, I thought he was going to say, "You stole my pants."
Oh, wow.
Well, no, I
That'd be
knew
pretty
it was
good.
the cop. I knew it was the cop, but it was just kind of like he served no purpose.
He, I mean, gave him the key to get out, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he...
Could have done with a bit more fleshing out.
Hey, I mean, I'm not necessarily a fan.
They almost
so
could
I'm
have did a
trying
side
to
thing,
play
like a
bad side.
webisode thing with his
So,
character.
yeah,
you
so
know.
then that brings the question of what are they setting up with this? And, you know, like, what's the next installment?
Another one.
Oh, there's definitely going to be another
Like,
one.
if I could be Arnold Schwarzenegger and be like, oh, so I'm gonna go on a movie and I only have 10 lines and some gestures, got it.
That's about what he can do at this point.
Like,
That's about the extent of it.
You slap his name on something that's gonna make money. So
yeah, but I mean, even the past movie he did as well, like, it was minimum lines. And it's just like, man, I need that paycheck.
That one that wasn't really about him, that he's, like, given the lead character. Or the
Yeah.
lead...
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I think what they're setting up... So Arnold becomes a T-1000 at the end, essentially.
It's upgraded.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Now, I knew that was going to happen
Right.
long before it did.
Pretty foreshadowed.
It's another one of those, like, you know, that's an obvious
needs is a
idea from
chip.
the beginning. Another one, the other one was, before I forget, the idea that the T-1000 should just, like, throw a part of itself on, like, a car and know where that part is all the time. Mm-hmm. Like, that idea occurred to me when I watched Terminator 2. He's like, why doesn't he just do that? And then in this movie, he just does that.
Does that, yeah.
But I think they're setting it up so that...
There's a part of Terminator 2 where he grabs onto the back of the car and they knock it off. And then he grabs it, but it doesn't get to stay on
But
there.
he never, like... He never uses the ability to just, like, disperse himself.
Yeah.
And track things or understand, you know, be able to reconstitute himself into wherever he needs to go. Because any of those pieces can travel however it wants. But Arnold is a T-1000 means that they don't have to have Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, they can have him for a couple minutes here and there, but he can change into whoever he wants.
Yeah.
They can have whoever they want play that character.
They also set that up that they no longer have to worry about T-800s looking like Arnold anymore because they've erased that timeline too.
Yes. Yes.
So we can have our T-888s as far as I'm concerned. I'll be very happy. Sorry, that's a Sarah Chronicles thing.
Yeah. But yeah, so that, I mean, I think that's what they're setting up with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think they would love to bring Jai Courtney back. I don't know how successful that'll be. I'm sure they'd love to bring Emilia Clarke back. I'm not sure how successful that will be. And
put a few years on both of them, and they'll be fine.
Yeah. And I don't know that, like, they're probably done with Jason Clarke. I think he was kind of a Robert Patrick sort of thing, like a one-off deal. But they trick you in the trailers into thinking it's the, like, Asian cop guy who's the main villain or whatever.
They do.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he looks like the Robert Patrick character,
He
essentially.
actually did look like Robert Patrick.
I thought that's who that was, and then I saw the movie, and that is not.
No, it is
That
not
is
him.
not. But
He doesn't look the
Actually,
same as he did in
Asian
'92
guy.
either.
well, I get the whole thing, but I think I was more or less seeing the metallic part, and the features are very keen
Gotcha.
when they're metallic. But whatever.
I was not aware they were going to do the second time jump thing. That caught me by surprise, but it makes sense. Why not put it today? If you or present day, I guess, if you can.
Sort of. Or-
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, set it
Yeah.
in the near future instead of.
distance.
So iCloud is Skynet.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
And that's one of the things that like they blew up the mainframe and Skynet did. It's everywhere.
It's in the cloud, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
it's one mainframe. That seems a little silly.
Well,
doesn't
no, it hadn't gotten to the cloud yet. That's what it was doing.
It just had a countdown timer that was already connected to the entire world.
Right.
but
that
it
was
wasn't
like-
backed up on some other server somewhere. I mean, it leaves it open. There's no way they just had it on one server.
I think that's one of those things that the more they explain it, the worse it gets.
Yes,
I really do.
Yeah.
I think it's the more they explain it, the worse it gets, and the more it bogs down everything else that's going on. Because there were a bunch of things, just time travel issues,
Oh yeah.
that if you really stop and think about it, it's like, nope, that's impossible.
Yeah.
Like John Connor shouldn't exist right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
He
whole
just shouldn't.
paradox thing, they gotta factor that in.
They kind of addressed that by saying we're kind of in a time bubble, a room or something of their own, so they don't necessarily have causality to
Oh,
themselves.
they throw lots of bullshit out
But
as reasoning for how that all works.
but then it also doesn't make sense why you would have two memory timeline things in the first place. So
Well, what about Amelia Clark and Jai Courtney getting hit by a car going about 60 or
Yeah.
70 and
Holy
getting,
shit.
and
being
getting
fine.
a scratch on her back?
I had no idea. I'm like, is one of them already a Terminator?
Yeah,
and they just
exactly.
Don't know it?
Exactly.
Are we gonna find out they have a metal endoskeleton
It
or
actually
something?
bruised his wang, but you don't see that till the Blu-ray special features.
Well, and they
Not gonna
also
lie, Mom.
opened up an interesting thing at the end when who's the guy who played John Connor again?
Jason Clarke.
Jason Clarke. When he grabs hold of Amelia Clark and puts his finger in her shoulder.
Right?
That's kind of how Matt Smith infected him at the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I
And
thought he was
so
gonna do.
it makes me think that she might be infected and something's changing her on the inside.
Well, it's similar, but it wasn't the same effect, and we didn't see like the fire and the black
Well,
particle stuff going on.
it's because she can't be turned into a Terminator because she already is one.
But
so
they
she
can always
replace.
retcon that for us, the sequel, you know?
They could,
Terminator 4.
but like turning more of the hero characters into
Yeah, this
Terminators.
was Terminator 5.
that. That's like, it's been done now.
Yeah.
Like you turned a good guy into a Terminator in this movie. They can't just keep doing that because
Yeah.
there's not that many good characters left.
Yeah, sure.
They already kind of did that in Salvation too, and well, that was just blew. So whatever.
Well, this was by far the best of anything after T2. T3 just needs to go away.
I don't remember much about that except Claire Danes was in it.
Rise of the
That's
Machines.
all I remember.
Yeah, it's pretty forgettable.
Salvation, I thought, had good moments. Just not, like, necessarily as a Terminator movie.
Should not have had a John Connor in it altogether. It would have been much better. But
Yeah. And they could have called it something other than Terminator.
Sure.
that yes.
It would have been just fine. Yeah, I think we've talked enough about this. That's our discussion for Terminator Genisys. It used to have an invisible touch, and
That's so touch.
sorry, It's just Genisys lyrics. If you like the way we do these, please like the video, subscribe, check out all the written video reviews at dalemaxfield.com, and thanks for watching.